You want to know what gets a guy sexually hooked on you? Not just momentarily intrigued, but deeply, emotionally, and physically captivated. The kind of hook that makes him think about you when he's out with his friends, when he's alone at night, when he's scrolling through his phone and sees something that reminds him of your laugh or the way you looked at him across the room. And while chemistry is important, attraction isn't just about how you look. But that's a part of it, sure, but it's not the whole story. Because what keeps a man sexually hooked on you isn't just the physical, it's how you make him feel emotionally in your presence and how you balance that with a spark that keeps him intrigued. Now, let me explain this because this is where most people get it wrong. Most people think sexual chemistry is about how sexy you are. It's not. It's about how safe he feels being himself around you while still feeling that sense of adventure and unpredictability. You see, men are used to feeling attraction. It happens all the time. But what they don't often feel is a combination of safety and intensity. When you can make a man feel emotionally safe, like he's not being judged, like he can be honest without being punished, like he can open up without losing your interest, that's when he starts to feel a deeper kind of connection. And when you combine that with a sense of playfulness and flirtation, that's when it becomes magnetic. It's easy to create spark without safety. That's what people do on a first date when they just tease and flirt and show off their sexiest sides. It's also easy to create safety without spark. That's what people do when they fall into the friend zone, when they're caring, available, but never challenge or excite the other person. But the magic? The magic is when you can create both. When he can talk to you and feel understood. When he can tell you something that scares him or something he's proud of, and he sees that you're not judging him, you're seeing him, you're holding space for him, that's when he relaxes. And relaxation is key. A man can't feel aroused in a place where he feels anxious, defensive, or unsure about where he stands. You might think it's mystery that keeps him wanting more, and it is, but not uncertainty. There's a difference. Mystery is sexy. It's fun. It leaves him wanting to know more about you. But uncertainty, wondering whether you like him, whether you're into him, whether he can trust you, uncertainty creates anxiety, and anxiety kills desire. What makes a man sexually hooked is knowing that you're attracted to him, but also knowing that he has to continue showing up to maintain that attraction. That's when he leans in, not out. So what does emotional safety actually look like in action? It looks like you being present with him, not trying to constantly impress him, not needing validation from him, is listening to him genuinely without already thinking of the next thing you're going to say. It's asking him something deeper than what he does for work. It's noticing when he drops his guard and acknowledging it in a subtle way that tells him, I saw that. I see you. Because most guys, especially the confident, attractive ones who have lots of options, they're not used to being seen. They're used to being admired. There's a difference. When you admire someone, you're looking at their surface, their looks, their charm, their confidence. But when you see someone, you're acknowledging the layers beneath all of that. Their fears, their motivations, their pain, their dreams. That's when a man feels something deeper. And when he starts to associate you with that feeling, he's intoxicating. That's what keeps him coming back. That's what makes him think, there's something different about her. I don't just want her, I need her. I feel like I can breathe around her, but I never want to stop chasing her either. You become that rare combination of comfort and excitement. And I'll tell you something else. This doesn't mean you're always available. It doesn't mean you're trying to be his therapist. or that you let everything slide just to keep the peace. That's not emotional safety. Emotional safety is knowing where your boundaries are and communicating them with confidence and kindness. It's being direct in a way that doesn't belittle him. It's telling the truth, even when it's not what he wants to hear, because you respect yourself and you respect him. Men don't get addicted to people who agree with everything they say. They get addicted to women who make them think, who challenge them to grow, who call them forward, not out of ego, but out of love and self-respect. And when you can hold all of that, the depth, the softness, the strength, the mystery, that's when sex becomes something different. It's not just about physical pleasure. It's about emotional connection. It's about feeling seen and desired at the same time. And that kind of sex, that kind of intimacy, that's what hooks a man, not just to your body, but to your soul. It's the difference between a spark that burns out in a weekend and a fire that stays lit for years. Because when a man feels emotionally safe with a woman who still ignites that passion in him, he doesn't just want her, he craves her. And that craving isn't just about what happens in the bedroom. It's about who he gets to be when he's with her. That's the real turn on. That's what he keeps coming back for. That's what makes you unforgettable. He doesn't just want someone who turns him on. He wants someone who makes him feel alive. When it comes to what gets a guy sexually hooked, there's something incredibly powerful about a woman who owns her desire. And I don't mean just being open about what she wants. I'm talking about a deep-rooted sense of self that says, I know what I want, and I'm not afraid to express it, but I don't need it from you to feel whole. That distinction right there, it's everything. Men aren't drawn to neediness. That kind of energy repels, because neediness feels like pressure. It feels like I have to perform. I have to be this person to validate her. And that's never sexy. But when a woman shows desire without need, when she chooses you from a place of abundance, not lack, that is magnetic. That's when a guy starts obsessing over you because your desire feels like a gift, not a demand. So many women have been taught to suppress their desire, to tone it down, to wait for the guy to lead everything from the conversation to the kiss to the bedroom. And sure, there's a time and place to let a man take the lead. But desire isn't just about physical moves. It's about energy, the way you look at him when you find him attractive, the way your body language opens slightly when you're enjoying the moment, the way you allow yourself to be present without hiding your excitement and without needing anything more than what is. That's rare. Most people aren't present. They're in their heads. What does he think of me? Does he like me back? Is this going somewhere? And when you're in your head, you're not in the moment. And when you're not in the moment, you're not connected. And connection is the foundation of attraction. Let's be real. Desire that comes from a place of lack never lands well. If you feel like you're not enough without his validation, then your desire will carry that energy. It'll feel like you're reaching for something to complete you, and that creates pressure. But when you feel complete already, when your world is full, your standards are high, and your life is meaningful with or without him, then your desire becomes powerful. It becomes a gift he wants to keep earning. Imagine you're on a date, and you're genuinely enjoying yourself. You feel connected, the chemistry is there, the conversation is flowing. You lean in slightly when he makes a joke. You touch his arm lightly when you laugh. That spark in your eye tells him you're having a good time. You're not playing a role, you're not overthinking, you're simply being, and you're enjoying him. That's when the magic happens, because in that moment, he doesn't just feel wanted, he feels chosen. And that's what gets a man sexually hooked, when he knows he's being chosen by a woman who could choose anyone. A woman who's not just filling space in her life with anyone who shows up. A woman who has options and is still saying, tonight, I'm here with you. Desire is also in the restraint. It's in your ability to enjoy the moment without rushing it, to flirt without needing to seal the deal, to say, I want you, without ever saying the words. It's in the slow burn, in the space between the lines. When you can express chemistry without chasing an outcome, that's when you hold all the cards. And guys pick up on that energy, even if they can't explain it. He doesn't just walk away thinking she's sexy. He walks away feeling something, and he wants more of it because your energy was real. You weren't performing. You weren't trying to be the cool girl or the chill girl or the mysterious girl. You were just being you, unapologetically. That's the kind of confidence that leaves a mark. And here's the twist. The more in tune you are with your own desire, the more you turn yourself on. That glow, that self-possession, that sensuality that radiates from within, that doesn't come from a guy. That comes from you. From knowing who you are, from appreciating your body, your soul, your experience, from being connected to what excites you, what inspires you, what brings you joy. A woman who knows how to feel good in her own skin is a woman who's already irresistible. The truth is, sexual energy starts with how you treat yourself, how you speak to yourself, the way you carry yourself when no one's watching. The energy doesn't get turned on when someone shows interest. It's already alive, and someone else simply steps into the orbit of it. So when you bring that energy into your interactions, not to manipulate, not to prove anything, but because it's just who you are, it changes the game. Now your presence becomes the reward. Your attention becomes the prize. And suddenly, he's not thinking about the next date or the next move. He's thinking about you, how you made him feel, how alive he felt around you, how safe and lit up and challenged he felt all at once. Desire without need. That's the phrase I want you to hold on to. It's about being comfortable with your attraction, without it making or breaking your night, your confidence, or your sense of self. It's about showing up as someone who adds to the experience, not someone who needs the experience to feel valuable. When you master that energy, everything changes. You become the fantasy, not because you're playing games, but because your authenticity is rare. Sexy is, I expect the best, with a wink. See, the mistake that a lot of people make when they hear the phrase high standards is they think it means being serious all the time, like you have to be rigid or come across as cold, guarded, or even a little intimidating. But real high standards, the kind that actually magnetize someone and keep them invested, it's not about being hard to impress. It's about being grounded in what you know you deserve, without losing your playfulness in the process. Think about it this way. Most people either swing one of two ways. They're either super fun, flirty, and easy to talk to, but they let everything slide. No boundaries, no standards. They tolerate bad behavior because they don't want to rock the boat. Or they go the opposite direction. They have tons of standards. They're guarded, and they make a guy feel like he's constantly on trial. There's no warmth, no levity, no chemistry. And what ends up happening is that neither approach really creates lasting attraction. But when you bring the two together, when you're the person who can laugh, be cheeky, flirt, enjoy the moment, but still send a clear message that you won't settle for less than you deserve, that combination is what becomes intoxicating. That's what makes someone think, I can't just coast with this person. I've got to bring something real to the table. Because here's what most guys won't tell you, but they feel it deep down. They crave a challenge, yes, but they don't want a punishment. If it feels like you're constantly scrutinizing them, testing them, or waiting for them to mess up, they'll eventually disengage. No one wants to feel like they're never good enough. But if you're fun and lighthearted, and yet, somewhere beneath the surface, he knows you've got this quiet, powerful self-respect, now he's hooked. Because he doesn't get that everywhere. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're on a date with someone. You're having a good time, there's some banter, a few laughs, things are flowing. He makes a comment that crosses the line just a little. Maybe it's inappropriate or it's subtly disrespectful. Now, someone without standards might just laugh nervously, not wanting to interrupt the good vibes. Someone too guarded might immediately snap, go cold, or shut down the whole date. But the person who knows how to blend standards with playfulness, she'll smile, lock eyes with him, and say something like, "Oh, you were doing so well. Don't ruin it." Boom. Playful, but clear. She just sent a message. "I'm enjoying you. I like where this is going, but I won't let you mess with my boundaries." That kind of energy doesn't just correct his behavior, it deepens his attraction. Because now he knows she's not a pushover and she can still have fun. That's sexy. And here's why this matters when we're talking about getting a guy sexually hooked. Attraction without respect is fleeting. It might spark quickly, but it burns out even faster. What locks someone in, sexually, emotionally, mentally, is when they feel like they're playing in the big leagues. They're with someone who won't just accept crumbs, who knows their value, and who radiates joy while still maintaining control of the room. That's not just someone he wants to sleep with. That's someone he wants to win over again and again. Because let's be real, anyone can be physically attractive, but the energy you carry, that's the difference maker. When you walk into a room with that subtle confidence, when you engage with men, not from a place of proving yourself, but from knowing your worth. When you can smile while holding a boundary, flirt while staying centered, that's when a guy can't stop thinking about you. It's not about playing games. It's about being the person who isn't afraid to walk away if something doesn't align, but who doesn't make a big dramatic production of it either. You just smile and step back. You're not rude. You're just uninterested in nonsense. And that's powerful. Now, here's something else to think about. When you're playful and high standard at the same time, you do something most people can't. You disarm a guy while still keeping him on his toes. You create an environment where he feels excited to pursue you, but also safe in doing so. That's rare. Most people offer one or the other. But you bring both. You're a little unpredictable in the best way. He doesn't quite know what you're going to say next, but he knows you're not going to let things slide if they don't sit right. That builds both desire and respect. And that's what makes a guy sexually hooked, because the connection isn't just surface level. It's emotional, psychological. He feels like you're not just any other person he's dated. You're different. You're the one who shows him he has to bring his best self if he wants to stay in your life. And not in a pressure cooker way, but in a damn, she's worth it kind of way. You become the exception, the one who didn't try to impress him, didn't chase, didn't over-explain herself, the one who laughed, teased, made him feel alive, but never stopped honoring herself in the process. That kind of woman doesn't need to seduce a man. Her presence does it for her. So when you're thinking about attraction, don't just focus on what you're wearing, what you're saying, or what kind of messages to send. Ask yourself this: am I showing up with both playfulness and power? Because when you do, he won't just be interested in sleeping with you, he'll be captivated, obsessed, hooked. That's when the game changes. Let's talk about something that doesn't get nearly enough credit when it comes to attraction. Comfort in your own skin. Not just the confidence you project out to the world, but the quiet confidence that exists when no one's watching. That deep, steady comfort that comes from knowing who you are and being okay with it. Because I'll tell you something, you don't have to be the most conventionally attractive person in the room to be the one he can't stop thinking about. See, attraction isn't always about perfect features or wearing something revealing or being the loudest, most flirtatious person in the room. It's about how you carry yourself when you walk into that room. It's about the energy you bring, how you speak to yourself, and how you inhabit your own body. There's something undeniably magnetic about someone who feels at home in themselves. A woman who walks, talks, and moves like she's not trying to be something else. She's not performing. She's not adjusting who she is to fit someone else's ideal. She's in herself. There's a power in that, a presence. And that's what draws a man in more than anything else, because it tells him, without saying a word, that you don't need validation. You're already whole. Let me give you a picture of this. You could be standing in a room with 10 other women, all dressed up, all saying the right things, all performing in some way. And then there's you, still playful, still fun, still flirty, but completely grounded. Not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because you're connected to who you are. You don't hide your imperfections. You own them. You don't need to prove yourself. You're just being yourself. And that alone makes you stand out. That's what gets under his skin. When a man sees that you like yourself, he starts to get curious. He starts to lean in. Because when you treat yourself like you're valuable, he has to treat you the same way. And that's what creates attraction, not just physical attraction, but emotional pull. He starts to crave your energy because it makes him feel more alive around you. Now, here's the key. Comfort in your own skin doesn't mean you always feel 100% confident. Doesn't mean you're never insecure or never have doubts. It means you've made peace with those parts of yourself. You're not trying to hide them or apologize for them or compensate for them by overperforming. You're just saying, this is me, and I'm okay with that. That level of self-acceptance is rare. And because it's rare, it's powerful. And yes, when it comes to intimacy, this becomes even more important. A man is not sexually hooked because you're trying to look like some fantasy. He gets hooked because of the way you feel about yourself when you're close to him. If you're comfortable in your body, if you're expressing desire from a place of empowerment and not fear, he feels that. He feels safe to let go, to be real, to open up. And that's when sex goes from just attractive to unforgettable. You know what's not sexy? Constantly worrying if you're saying the right thing, doing the right thing, looking the right way. That anxious energy, it creates a wall. But the woman who says, I'm here, I'm present, I'm owning my space, that's who he gets obsessed with. Not because of what she looks like, but because of how she makes him feel. When you're deeply connected to yourself, he starts to feel deeply connected to you. So how do you cultivate this kind of comfort? It starts with practice. Practicing showing up as you, not as a version of you you think he wants. Practicing speaking your mind without overthinking every word. Practicing listening to your own needs, desires, and limits, and honoring them. Because every time you choose to be more of yourself instead of less, you build that inner safety, that unshakable presence. And you'll notice something really interesting. When you start to feel more at home in your own body, your interactions with men change. You'll flirt differently, not to get his attention, but because you're genuinely enjoying the moment. You'll speak differently, not to be liked, but because you've got something to say. You'll even walk differently, not to be watched, but because you feel good. That shift is everything. It's not about trying to do sexy. It's about being in your body and letting your presence speak for itself. You become the kind of woman a guy wants to get closer to, not just physically, but emotionally too. Because it's not just about how you look. It's about how he feels when he's around you. And believe me, when a man finds that in a woman, when he sees that you are not seeking approval, not trying to impress, but are instead fully grounded in who you are, he becomes magnetized. He starts to crave more of that feeling, more of you. And that's what keeps him coming back. That's what gets him sexually hooked. Not the costume, not the performance, not the script, but the real, radiant, unfiltered you. There's something people don't talk about enough when it comes to attraction, and especially sexual attraction. We get caught up in this idea that being sexy means being overt, that you have to show more, say more, be more explicit. But the truth is, when it comes to getting a guy sexually hooked, one of the most powerful things you can do is understand the power of suggestion, subtlety, implied desire, leaving just enough room for imagination. That's where real seduction lives. Because here's the truth. What the imagination fills in is always more intoxicating than what's given too easily. If a guy can see everything too quickly, if he knows exactly where it's going, there's no mystery. And without mystery, there's no tension. And without tension, there's no obsession. We often think of sexual chemistry as this physical thing, looks, touch, work. And yes, those things matter. But the strongest chemistry isn't about what you put out there on the surface. It's about what you withhold just enough of so that his mind keeps spinning, wondering, wanting more. When you suggest instead of state, when you imply instead of announce, you create a space where he gets to chase the answer. You haven't handed it to him. You've invited him to find it. It could be in something as simple as a look. Holding eye contact a little longer than usual, just enough to make him wonder what that look meant. Did you mean something more by it? Or was it innocent? The ambiguity keeps him engaged. Or maybe it's in the way you speak, how you say something playful but layered. Maybe your words have two meanings and he picks up on both, but you don't confirm either. That's the sweet spot. It's not about being manipulative or coy for the sake of it. It's about creating depth in the interaction, because depth keeps people emotionally and sexually invested. Think about this. A guy doesn't become sexually hooked because he had sex with you. He becomes sexually hooked because the experience with you is unlike anyone else. And what makes it unlike anyone else isn't the act. It's the energy you bring to it. When you understand the dance between desire and suggestion, when you're confident enough to hold something back, that's when he leans in. That's when he starts seeing you as more than just a fleeting attraction. That's when you become unforgettable. Here's something else to remember. When you're in your power, you don't need to give everything to be compelling. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking, well, if I don't say it or show it, he won't know I'm interested. But here's the thing. If he's even halfway emotionally aware, he'll pick up on your vibe, your energy, your timing, your expressions. They all say enough. You don't need to spell it out. In fact, spelling it out kills the buzz. If he knows there's more to you, but he has to earn seeing it, that's where he becomes invested. That's where he becomes curious. And curiosity is the gateway to obsession. A sexually hooked man isn't just thinking about what you look like. He's thinking about how you made him feel. He's thinking about the way you left him wondering, the way you made him second guess, but in the best way, not in a game-playing way, but in a there's more here and I want to figure it out kind of way. That feeling, that's addictive. Let's make this real. You're on a date. You're vibing. The chemistry is there. He compliments you, tells you you're sexy, tells you he's into you. You feel it too. But instead of rushing to match his energy, you take a breath. You smile. Maybe you say something a little cheeky like, "You think you figured me out already?" That's suggestion. That's control. That's intrigue. You're not denying the chemistry. You're just not giving him the satisfaction of knowing where it's going yet. You're showing him there's more to discover. And trust me, if a guy feels like there's more to discover, he stays. Another moment, let's say he's trying to push things physically, but it's early. You're not ready. But instead of shutting it down cold or making it awkward, you lean into suggestion. Maybe you say, "I like this, but I want to enjoy the build-up a little more." What did you just do there? You didn't shame him. You didn't say no in a way that creates a wall. You said, "I'm in this. I'm attracted, but I'm in control of the pace." You gave him something, just not everything. That balance, that's power. And it makes him respect you and crave you at the same time. See, we live in a culture that often confuses availability with attraction. Like, if I make myself more available, he'll want me more. But real attraction, real sexual chemistry, it's not about availability, it's about value. When someone feels like they have to unlock you layer by layer, not because you're playing games, but because you actually have layers, that's when they get hooked. The problem is too many people are afraid to hold back. They fear if they don't give more, they'll lose him. But the truth is, the wrong guy will leave regardless. The right guy, he won't just stay. He'll chase. He'll lean in harder. He'll match your energy. Because it's not about withholding for control. It's about pacing for connection. Let's not forget, suggestion works best when it's authentic. You don't need to create this mysterious persona that isn't you. You just need to tap into your natural confidence, your sense of play, your ability to flirt with your energy, not just your words. Think about the times when you've felt totally comfortable in your own skin. That's when you're at your most attractive, because there's no desperation, no need to prove anything. That calm confidence, that subtle way you move, speak, and look at him, that's what makes him think about you long after you've walked away. And when he's thinking about you when you're not around, wondering what you're doing, what you're feeling, what it would be like to get closer, that's when he's sexually hooked, because it's not just lust anymore. It's curiosity, it's interest, it's investment. So if you really want to hook a guy in a way that lasts beyond the surface, don't just focus on being sexy, focus on being suggestive. Don't just show up, make him wonder what's beneath the surface. Make him work to uncover it. Make him feel like every layer he peels back reveals something more beautiful, more complex, more you. That's what makes him stay. That's what keeps him wanting more. Because mystery doesn't mean being distant. It means being intentional, controlled, present. And that presence, with just the right amount of suggestion, is magnetic. And that's what makes you unforgettable. You see, one of the biggest myths people believe is that sexual attraction is purely about physicality, that it's just about how someone looks or how they dress or how flirtatious they can be in the moment. But here's the truth. What really gets a guy sexually hooked on you isn't just the physical. It's the emotional connection underneath it all. The The sexiest thing in the world is someone who sees you, really sees you. Not just your body, not just your moves, not just your voice when you're leaning in close, but the way your mind works, the way your heart feels, the way you think about the world. That's what creates true sexual obsession. It's when, in a moment of intimacy, a guy realizes he's not just connecting with someone's body, he's connecting with their soul. That's when he becomes hooked. You can be stunning, witty, playful, all the things that spark interest. But interest is cheap. Interest is easy. Hooking someone at a deeper level, that's rare. That's where the real power is. And that power comes from emotional intimacy. Think about it. How often do we meet people who are hot, fun,